I am here to share with you the story of the prodigal son using mathematical equation of loss, repentance, and restoration. My name is Joseph Iyaji. In a unique intersection between faith and mathematics, the timeless parable of the prodigal son found in the Gospel of Luke chapter 15, verse 11 to 32 can be interpreted as a spiritual equation of variables, constants, and functions. When expressed in mathematical terms, the story offers a fascinating illustration of subtraction, addition, multiplication, division, and even exponential growth, all pointing towards divine mercy and forgiveness. The narrative begins with what mathematicians might call a negative function. The younger son requests his share of the inheritance, effectively subtracting a portion from the family's total assets. This moment represents a break in equilibrium, as the father divides his wealth into two unequal parts. The son then takes his fraction and ventures into a far country, where his reckless lifestyle leads to diminishing returns until he reaches absolute zero, spiritually and materially bankrupt. Mathematically, the young man's situation can be described as approaching negative infinity. Hunger, shame, and regret form a steep downward slope on his life's graph. The parable knows that he began feeding on scraps meant for pigs, a value far below the baseline of human dignity. This moment signifies the minimal point of the parabola of his life, the point at which no further decrease is possible and a reversal becomes necessary. In calculus, when the derivative of a function equals zero, it often indicates a turning point, a peak, or a truth. The son's decision to return home and seek forgiveness marks this exact moment. He calculates his losses, analyzes his options, and determines that even a servant in his father's house enjoys a higher standard of living than his current state. The function of repentance begins its upward curve. Upon his return, the father's reaction introduces the concept of exponential growth. Instead of mere acceptance, the father showers him with love, honor, and restoration. The robe, ring, and feast multiply beyond expectation, signifying divine grace that grows without limit. What began as simple forgiveness escalates into superabundant mercy, a value approaching infinity on the positive axis. Meanwhile, the elder son, representing the constant term in the equation, struggles to accept this sudden shift in values. He views the father's action through the lens of strict arithmetic justice, addition and subtraction, without room for irrational numbers like mercy or love. Yet, the father reminds him that divine equation often operate on higher dimension where grace defies human logic. Ultimately, the parable teaches that life's spiritual equations are rarely linear. Loss plus repentance can equal restoration. Sin raised to the power of grace produces forgiveness beyond measure. Like an infinity series, divine love continues without end, transforming the mathematics of human failure into the geometry of salvation. The prodigal son thus remains not only a biblical lesson, but also a timeless formula, showing that no matter how far one deviates from the original function, the limit of God's mercy approaches infinity for those who return. Thank you for joining me on this segment. I am Joseph Iyaji.